What if you've misunderstood the most famous story in history? What if Jesus didn't just die for you, but instead showed you exactly how to die to your old self and rise into a new one? They told you he came to suffer in your place. But what if he came to teach you how to transcend suffering itself? Stay with me, because once you see what was hidden in plain sight, you may never look at the crucifixion or your life the same way again. For thousands of years, the cross has been a symbol of salvation. But what if it was more than a symbol of forgiveness? What if it was a blueprint for spiritual transformation? You see, Jesus didn't run from death. He walked toward it, fully aware, fully conscious, and fully surrendered. Why? Because he wasn't just dying for you. He was modeling what it means to let the ego die, to release control, to surrender what is false so what is divine can rise. The cross wasn't just an instrument of pain. It was a cosmic mirror, showing humanity what it takes to evolve. In ancient mystery schools, from Egypt to Greece to Persia, initiation always began with death. Not physical death, but the death of the false identity. In Egypt, the initiate entered a tomb for 3 days, symbolizing ego death and rebirth. In Greece, the Eleusinian mysteries reenacted Persephone's descent and return, symbolizing transformation of the soul. And now look at Jesus. 3 days in the tomb, descent into darkness, a silence so total it could only lead to awakening. Jesus didn't bypass ancient teachings, he embodied them. The crucifixion wasn't just punishment, it was initiation into a new state of being. Let's go deeper. In John 3:3, Jesus tells Nicodemus, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God." This isn't religious rhetoric. This is esoteric wisdom. Born again isn't a church service moment. It's a cosmic reset. It means shedding every layer of false self. The masks, the fear, the shame, the performance-driven identity, so you can awaken the eternal essence that was always inside you. The kingdom isn't some far-off afterlife location. It's a state of consciousness you awaken into once your old mind dies. Jesus said, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily." Did you hear that? Daily, not once, not only on Sunday, every single day. Why? Because the cross isn't just a moment. It's a lifestyle of surrender. The real crucifixion happens every day in you. Every time you let go of your pride, every time you silence the inner critic, every time you die to the need to be seen, admired, or in control. That's resurrection in motion. And when you take up your cross daily, you're not punishing yourself. You're freeing yourself from the illusion that you were ever separate from God. Before light comes, there is silence. And maybe the most overlooked part of Jesus' story is the tomb. The quiet, the stillness, the nothingness. It's in that silence, not the noise of the world, that rebirth begins. You want to awaken your spiritual power? You want to activate your Christ nature? Then enter your own tomb. Turn off the noise. Step away from the distractions. Withdraw from the ego's performance and allow the stillness to purify you. Because resurrection doesn't come from striving. It comes from surrendering. It's in the emptiness that the fullness is born. What if resurrection wasn't just proof that Jesus was divine, but a reminder that so are you? I and the Father are one. This wasn't a title. It was a state of consciousness. He said you could do even greater works than he did. Why would he say that? Unless the spark of God within you was meant to be activated, not idolized. We were never meant to admire Jesus from a distance. We were meant to awaken the Christ within us. This is not ego. It's transcendence of ego. Not arrogance, but remembrance of origin. Look deeper. Jesus taught in parables. Why? Because those who were not ready would only hear stories. But those with awakened eyes would see the codes beneath the surface. What if the crucifixion is the ultimate parable? A symbolic transmission that teaches ego must die, spirit must rise, the self must dissolve so the soul can expand. Jesus wasn't hiding the truth. He was wrapping it in spiritual language, so only the truly seeking would understand. That's why the early mystics didn't build empires. They built inner temples. Let's reframe everything. Luke 17:21. The kingdom of God is within you, not in a temple, not in a distant heaven, not in a doctrine, but inside your own being. So what do you need to do to find it? Nothing, except die to everything that told you it wasn't there. That's the real rebirth. The moment you realize what you've been seeking was always within. Take a breath right now. Close your eyes. Ask yourself this: what part of me is being called to die so that a greater light can live through me? Drop that answer in the comments below, because you're not just watching this story, you're living it. Here's where it gets bold. Religion told you to obey, but Jesus never once said, "Worship me." He said, "Follow me." There's a massive difference. One requires distance. The other requires transformation. Following Christ doesn't mean quoting verses. It means walking the path, through surrender, through shadow, into light. True Christianity isn't about belonging to a group. It's about returning to the God force within. It's not about guilt. It's about glory. You don't get reborn once. You get reborn every time you surrender again. Every time you let go of who you thought you had to be. Every time you release a false narrative. Every time you stop performing and just become, you rise again. And every rise takes you closer to the Christ within. That's what Jesus was modeling all along. Not just a one-time act, but a cosmic invitation to live a resurrected life, starting now. So maybe Jesus didn't come to die instead of you. Maybe he came to show you how to let what's false within you die, so your true self can rise. Maybe every nail in the cross was a message. Every drop of blood was a metaphor. Every breath in the tomb was a whisper from the eternal. And now, it's your turn. Are you willing to let go of what's dying, so you can step into what's eternal? Because the tomb is open, and the resurrection isn't just a story, it's an invitation. Now I want to hear from you. What part of this message stirred something in your soul? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But if this spoke to something deeper inside you, I want you to type just one word: reborn. Let's flood the comments with it. Because this isn't just a story you heard, it's a shift you're stepping into. If you're ready to awaken even more hidden truths like this, hit subscribe right now, because this journey isn't ending here, it's only just beginning. And your rebirth starts now.